Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes Carmella! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again, sitting right next to me, is my brother Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
I am good. How you doing?
And joining us virtually once again for this week's episode of In The Kliq, it's our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going, man?
It's going great, guys. Coming to you live from Indonesia tonight. Let's get the damn thing going.
That's the other thing. I know we keep talking about we're going to start doing video very soon. I cannot wait because then that way you have an excuse to change your background. Because Tommy and I get to enjoy that entertainment aspect of these, Zoom/virtual. You just blocked your camera. Now you're completely, there you are. So that's the thing. I think half the fun of doing these episodes with you is just what kind of goofy things you can do in the background of the video. So I want the rest of the Kliqsters out there to watch this or see this for themselves for the entertainment value. Now you got a light on.
The clickbaiters will love it.
Yeah, blind off. But yes, here we are back for another episode In The Kliq. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. In the Kliq at gmail.com. A lot of stuff to get into this week. We're going to focus on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown like we normally do. But first, got a little bit of clickbait news, a couple items we want to touch on. First things first, a little bit of sad news. Once again, I know we had sad news last week with the death of Pat Patterson. This week, we found out the death of, I guess you could say a former wrestler, but definitely he's more known for his acting. Tommy Tiny Lister passed away at the age of 62 years old, apparently from some complications from COVID-19. He was found dead in his home in Southern California this past Thursday. So R.I.P. to Tommy Tiny Lister. And, of course, online, everyone was saying, oh, Debo's gone. Debo from the movie Friday. And for me, I'm just speaking for myself, but I know you guys both can relate. I know him as Zeus from his time in WWF in the late 80s. So, and
in the movie No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's the thing is, when I first saw the movie Friday back in 95, when that came out, I can't believe it's been that long now.
Yeah.
When I saw Debo come on screen or make his appearance, I was like, oh my God, it's Zeus. Because Zeus, at that point, his character was only, 6 years old, or No Holds Barred was only 6 years prior, back in, 89?
Yes.
So, everyone's like, oh, who's this guy? I'm like, that is Zeus, man. The guy who took on Hulk Hogan in No Holds Barred. Great movie WWF put out.
I'm a big fan of B movies in general. Doesn't have to be wrestling related at all. That is a really good B movie.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it's better if you know wrestling, but if you don't watch wrestling, it's still a fun movie.
Yeah, it was definitely because it starred Hulk Hogan, but what was his name? Tommy in the movie?
Rip Taylor.
Yeah, rip him.
Rip him.
And he had
doing the
turquoise
hand
blue
gesture he does here. Rip him.
The turquoise blue and the white. And I love, that movie was so great. Tommy and I, for years, always joke about the guy that crapped his pants.
The limo driver.
The limo driver
smells like Dookie.
Oh, he's like, what's that smell?
Smells like Dookie.
Dookie.
Oh man, that movie's so great. I think it's on Netflix, right? Or
I have the DVD.
Yeah, that's right. We have the DVD version of it. So
I think I have it somewhere.
but Richard, yeah, your thoughts on just hearing about Tommy Lister passing away, aka Zeus? Just any memories of him, especially for his time in WWF?
I mean, I saw No Holds Barred in middle school. So that's
Okay.
like 2000, 2001-ish.
Okay.
And I remember I was on vacation. It was on in our hotel room, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what is this?" Because I didn't even know it existed. We didn't, there was dial-up internet back then.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't one of those things that like came up every year or was on TV every year. So I just remember thinking it was really funny, and then we rented the SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam with him and Ted DiBiase against
the Macho Man was SummerSlam.
Macho Man.
Was SummerSlam.
Okay.
Survivor Series with Ted DiBiase.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking this guy's gigantic, and then like a year or two later renting it again, and then thinking like this guy doesn't do shit.
That's true.
Like he just stands there and like puts a hold on Hulk, and yeah,
He's just a
so-
brick wall.
No sells anything.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's funny, but I don't revere him as a wrestler at all.
Yeah. So it's
What people forget was Zeus actually had a match in Puerto Rico for World Wrestling Council against Abdul the Butcher.
oh really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
Weird.
90, I think.
Okay. So after WWF.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So No Holds Barred came out. He was the actor, the heel, the bad guy in that movie. And then it was funny. So they pretty much took that storyline and carried over into actual canon WWF storyline at the time for Hulk Hogan in '89. And so pretty much it just came down to three events that I remember. So it was Hogan and Brutus Bar Beefcake taking on Macho Man and Zeus. Zeus came and challenged him because he was upset that he lost to him in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, wait, the movie's scripted. And
Yeah.
so,
But they needed some storyline there.
so that's how they turned that character into like a real life thing. It was like, oh my God. It was like before Last Action Hero, where a movie came to life. So
True story.
Yeah, so they had the match.
But you didn't have the Houdini gold ticket.
Yeah, it's the match at SummerSlam '89, and then it led to Zeus aligning himself with Ted DiBiase and who was it? It was Powers of Pain, taking on the Hulkamaniacs, Hogan, Jake the Snake, and Demolition.
Yeah.
They won at Survivor Series.
That's a hell of a team.
That was a great team. So Hulk
That's a
Hogan,
hell of a team.
yeah, right, dude. And
A
so
powerhouse.
Hulkamaniacs won at Survivor Series '89.
Yeah.
And then jump Tommy to December 1989.
Yeah, they had that one match in a steel cage.
No Holds Bar pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view. That was the pay-per-view in December of '89.
So it was Hogan, Brutus Bar Beefcake taking on Savage and Zeus again. So a rematch.
Was it a steel cage match?
Yes. Let me double check here. Yeah, steel cage match, December 27th, 1989.
All right.
So, yeah, that was it. So it was like the three matches, and after that, he was gone. I think he did a quick little thing at Royal Rumble that following year.
Yeah, it says right here,
Yeah.
he wrestled in World Wrestling Council. Zeus beat Abdul the Butcher by countout
Yeah.
at a World Wrestling Council show in Puerto Rico on July 7th, 1990.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, at the time, the wrestling looking back on it was like, wasn't amazing, but nonetheless, the theatrics involved and just like, oh my God, this guy is real. He's really coming out to the ring to take on Hogan. But it wasn't that like amazing wrestling or anything. He wasn't like on like majorly trained or anything like that.
No.
But nonetheless, it was still entertaining, and it was like crossing over movies and real life together. So that as a kid, Tommy and I were like, oh my God, what's going on here?
It was intense.
And then I just want to give honorable mention for 1996 when he did show up in WCW. Pretty much the same character, but they just couldn't use the name Zeus. They called him Z Gangsta, and he was part of the Alliance to end Hulkamania, which is pretty much the Dungeon of Doom, Kevin Sullivan's team.
Yes.
And also he brought out
the Nickelodeon cage match.
Yes.
uncensored, right?
Yeah, and they also align with the Four Horsemen as well.
That's right. And then Richard, you're telling us Robert Swenson, who was one of the actors, wrestlers. That was like his teammate at the time.
Yeah.
Who was billed as the ultimate solution. He was also Bane, I think, in one of the Batman movies.
Yes.
Cheap Swenson from World Class Championship Wrestling.
But he passed away, was about 10 years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think he had a heart attack.
So, I mean, like I said, we know Zeus, or excuse me, Tiny Lister, obviously with Friday, and he's done some other acting work, but, in our hearts, we'll always remember him as Zeus from the WWF. So R.I.P. to Zeus, and thank you for entertaining us as kids all these years.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Moving on over to another big story that came out towards the end of the week, and I tell you, man, these type of stories, once it gets out there, I feel like the whole internet community just goes crazy, and I'll just cut right to it, like overreacting and all this stuff. So here's the gist of it. So from what I saw, PWIinsider.com reported that, long story short, Vince McMahon was upset and was getting pissed off backstage that some of the big men were not performing that well. And so he pretty much sent Otis, Keith Lee, Double Kato, Dio Madden, and I like how they keep saying AJ Styles bodyguard, because they put AJ Styles' name first. At first I was like, what? AJ Styles needs training? But
Whoa.
But his bodyguard, currently his name's Almost, but he was going by Jordan for a while. So they were all supposedly sent to the Performance Center, and apparently twice a week now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have pretty much a wrestling school with Adam Pearce, Drew Gulak as their teachers. And so everyone started freaking out, like, oh my God, how dare Vince McMahon sends Keith Lee back to wrestling school at the Performance Center.
Such an outrage.
And so everyone was just going crazy, and like reports are saying Vince McMahon threw a fit backstage and didn't like how these big men were performing in the ring, and they got to go back to wrestling school. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to break down. But Richard, kind of your initial reactions to this news.
Well, I think when fans get angry, before you get angry, maybe think to yourself why, and maybe that there's a reason, and maybe it's a positive reason and not something insulting to the talent. They're not doing their house shows, so like this is where they're getting their reps. So back in the day, wrestlers would wrestle 6 days a week, twice on Sundays, and they're working 1 day a week right now, and maybe they're getting a little rust on them in between weeks, and this is just a way for them to get some reps in.
Yeah. So a couple things here. One, I will admit, I was a little shocked, or surprised, I should say, seeing Otis and Keith Lee, who are both on SmackDown and Raw, respectively, currently on the main roster. Now, as far as Double Kato, Dio Madden currently also on Raw as part of Retribution. But
to be fair, though, sorry to cut you off, but
fine.
In the past, they've done this with bigger names than Keith Lee. Big Show, Mark Henry, Undertaker. It's just to get the rust off or get some reps in. So it's just kind of like the fact that it's Keith Lee, this internet darling, is the reason why everyone's so upset.
Remember when Undertaker, didn't he go to Ohio Valley Wrestling, take on Kane before he was Kane? Remember that?
Or that's Smoky Mountain.
Or Smoky Mountain, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That was like
he took
95.
on New Jack.
Really?
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh my God, that's awesome. But okay, so for Double Kato and Dio Madden and Almost, is it Almost or Almost?
Almost.
I'm not
like Edward James Almost.
Yeah, so like Double Kato, we saw him on Raw Underground. Haven't seen him since the draft. Almost, he hasn't wrestled in the ring yet as far as on TV goes. He's just been AJ's bodyguard, just standing there and carrying AJ on his shoulder like a little parrot. But so I can understand those two just need more reps and experience. And then for even Dio Madden, we saw him doing some commentary. What was it, last year? And then he was off TV after Brock Lesnar beat him up. He comes back now as part of Retribution. But even still, he's still, I think, very young to the whole wrestling world. So he needs more reps as well. So I can understand why those three needs more probably attention and practice.
Yeah.
And then Otis and Keith Lee, while I am shocked, I didn't see this as a slap in the face, so I think a lot of people did. A lot of people were like, oh my God, how dare you send Keith Lee? We love Keith Lee. He's one of the best. He was one of the best on the indies for years, and he dominated NXT. Like, how dare they send him back to wrestling school? It's like, whoa. Richard, as you said, like, stop, look at the bigger picture, and kind of evaluate why we're doing this.
The other thing, too, is the person in charge has been doing this in 6 different decades for 50 years.
Yeah.
You think that you know better than he does? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, and so like I said, there's a lot to break down here. First things first, I want to mention there was reports this week of supposedly rumors of what direction they might be going when it comes to WrestleMania next year. Obviously, Edge and Orton rematch, that was one idea. Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, that's another idea for the Universal title. And the last one was a triple threat for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre taking on Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee. So, with that being said, it's obvious WWE, or at least Vince, is considering Keith Lee to be part of the main event, or at least the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. That's a big deal. Potentially, yeah, hypothetically. I mean, this is not set in stone. Things change over the coming months. But nonetheless, at this current time, if that is true, it's obvious, though, Vince sees something in Keith Lee and likes him, or he would not even consider him for that championship match.
And plus, I
would also say consider your source as well, because this is mainly coming from 2 people that are largely negative intentionally on WWE. So they're going to have a negative slant and build their own negative story, because that's what the dirt sheet writers do, is they lie.
And clickbait, they want those hits. The other thing, too, the reports of Vince throwing a fit. Now, it's like, I feel like it's a game of telephone when it comes from the sources to the reporter to, like, I think things kind of snowball and get a little out of hand or sensationalized. Like over dramatics,
water cooler talk.
Well, no, but what's the word? Over exaggerate.
Right.
What the story is here. So we're not in those rooms, those backstage rooms with Vince McMahon, and what the definition of a fit was like Vince yelling, screaming like, "Oh my God, these guys need work," or was he just more like, "Hey, I noticed these guys need a little work here," and little change up of things up here and there. I mean, look, keep in mind, like Keith Lee, as much as we all love him, did he almost land on his head a couple weeks ago on Raw? Remember, like one spot. So maybe Vince sees him like, whoa, might need a little working here. And here's that thing, like I said, those reports, if it's true that he's being considered for a WrestleMania match, maybe Vince sees something in him and wants to mold him into a certain style that will fit a storyline that he sees can be a part of like a main event storyline for WrestleMania. Maybe he wants to see Keith Lee more of like a dominant monster big man. You know what I mean?
And what I've heard universally from people that are in the business that have anything negative to say about Keith Lee is that he gives too much to people smaller than him. Because he is such a powerhouse, but like he'll bump around for them and he doesn't have to or doesn't need to. And like,
right.
If every bump you don't have to take, that's one more that you can have for later.
Yeah.
Because everyone runs out on their bump card eventually.
And plus, I also look at it this way. I think of it, it's like, I'm going to use baseball terminology here. I think of it, it's like send your players back to maybe a little bit like the minor leagues or whatever, but also at the same time, you want them to work on their craft or, their stance, their swing or whatever.
Fine-tune,
like in the batting cages and that. And you watch tape and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like that similar ordeal.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, I was going to say Hurricane Helms, Shane Helms, Hurricane Helms, we all know him as.
Sugar Shane Helms, that's how I know him.
I was going to say Sugar Shane. I was going to say, was it three count?
3 count was the best faction of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore.
Which, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I saw your post about, was it some of him, and then someone says he should have gone to the Ring of Honor, and he would have probably done it.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm not going. We should have a whole Shane Helms episode about his career.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is, for Vince, maybe he sees something in Keith Lee and he wants to mold him in a certain style and wants him to go. I
would say for all of those people that he's sending back, he's not sending back people because he doesn't see anything in any of them. He's sending them all back because he sees something in all of them.
Yeah, and we know Vince loves big men, and then
well, here's the thing too, though.
I was gonna say real quick. I mean, a lot of people do praise Keith Lee. A lot of people think he's a great worker and like working with him. So
yes,
yeah, it's just fine tuning. But sorry, what were you gonna say, Richard?
I think there's something to be said though if you look at who's getting sent back, because in my opinion, like I'm not taking shots at anyone with this. I'm just saying from experience in life, when you go to a show and you see the big guys and you're like up close or up on the aisle and they walk right by you, that's way more of an awe than like some triple jump moonsault or whatever. Like
yes,
like. When you see the big guys, it's you're going home and talking about that, and you're not gonna. You might remember the finish to the high flyer match or whatever it is, but like you're not gonna remember the body of the match. But if you see almost, you're gonna tell you got to see this guy. He's almost 8 feet tall, or then it's telephone because then it's you're exaggerating his height and size. Because I remember going to a house show in '99 or 2000 and seeing Big Show for the first time and just thinking like, oh my God, that guy can't even walk through a door. Like he's just so thick and he's tall, and it's just, that's more impressive, I think, for a live crowd than anything.
I was gonna say Tommy and I sat front row for Elimination Chamber when it was at Oracle Arena back in 2012?
February 2011.
2011. Big Show, his pod was right in front of us, so we saw the Big Show standing there waiting to go into the Elimination Chamber match.
I remember that.
But we're like, whoa, look how big he is.
But we also saw him wrestle at a house show too, years before that, and we were just like, just astonished how his presence.
I mean,
was,
look at Vince's history. Like Andre the Giant is like one of his all-time favorite guys that worked for him. Yeah, So he's all about the entertainment, the larger-than-life personalities.
Which is why they kept Khali around so long. But the other thing with Andre is if you had Andre, no matter what the show was, it was a sellout. Andre's the greatest attraction in wrestling ever because no matter where he performed, people would pay to see him.
Yeah.
Like you could have Andre in the main event and have a card filled with jobbers, and it's still going to sell out because people want to see Andre the Giant.
Well, so going back to the tweet from Shane Helms, and I'm just paraphrasing, you can look on his Twitter. He more or less said, listen, he thinks a lot of people are overreacting. For example, athletes who make it to the NBA, NHL, NFL,
Major League
Baseball,
Major League Sports.
Yeah, just because you make it to that top level doesn't mean you stop practicing.
Yes. That's what I said earlier.
And so this is an example, like this is just them probably working on some stuff, testing things out. And Richard, as you and I we were all talking about this the other night, was like, we're in a pandemic. WWE's current schedule of events is not going on right now. They're not doing house shows. Let's think about the purpose of house shows. Not only it's just extra,
and for what they're getting paid, and they're not doing those house shows.
Yeah.
Like
as far as the guarantee
they're paying you to go train. It's not like they're asking you to come in on your day off. Most days are your day off now. So,
I mean, a lot of them, they're all playing just on Twitch now or video games.
Yeah. And all of these wrestlers, as far as I know, live in Florida. So it's not like they're jumping on a plane to go train. Like they get to go home at night still. So chill out, people.
Yeah. Especially, all those guys. But what I'm getting at also is, so back in the day, like house shows, obviously these are ways for WWE to reach other smaller markets outside of the TV schedule. But also these house shows are ways for guys to work on their craft, to practice, to get the reps in, to test out things, test out characters. I mean, look, the New Day started on house shows. That's how the New Day started. They were just testing out the waters of the three of them as a faction, as a heel faction.
And even, this is wrestlers do it on their own accord as well. So sometimes I remember hearing a story about Daniel Bryan when after he had already been in Ring of Honor, been to Japan, and he had heard that William Regal was doing some sort of wrestling seminar, in-ring wrestling seminar, and he went. He was a known wrestler, and he still figured there's a few things I could learn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So,
yes.
Chill out, people.
Well, these house shows, they can work on their craft, work on some new moves, personalities, gimmicks, whatever it is, it's non-televised. They can work on it. If they screw up, okay, no big deal. But if things work and get over, like, okay, let's bring this over to TV. So without having any house shows, they have nowhere to practice. So your next best option, especially in this pandemic era, is to go to the Performance Center. So, yes. And then the other thing too, I just want to mention, keep in mind, Dabba-Kato, Dio Madden, and Omos, they don't have the experience that Keith Lee has. And I don't know how much Otis has, but I know Otis has more than those other three.
5 years plus, I think.
So I'm just saying, like, I know for me growing up, I would play with older players, and I felt my skill level got better by playing with better players. And even when I was coaching...
Well, you're also 10 feet tall.
Thank you. So, but when I would... Even when I was coaching, like, if we saw, like, a freshman who was doing really well... we would have them practice with the JV, or someone on JV practice with varsity to help improve them. So if anything, maybe Keith Lee and Otis being there is not so much like they're in trouble or they're being degraded or devalued. They might be there to help pass on some of their expertise to Dabba-Kato, Dio Madden, and Omos. You know what I'm saying? So you got some more younger guys and these more experienced guys working together. Yeah. So it's almost like Keith Lee could be like an extra coach in some way to help this other talent of big man. So I think a lot of people are misinterpreting this and going crazy.
Yeah, if you follow Natalya on anything, like when she's not on TV, like during the week, she's constantly training with current wrestlers like Liv Morgan or Lana or whoever.
I mean, Ronda Rousey back in the day.
Ronda Rousey. So and look how all those people are turning out. Like the Riot Squad are super hot right now. Lana's actually not that bad right now.
She's been improving.
Like, she's been improving for sure, and it's noticeable. And you look at Ronda Rousey, did she have a really bad match her run?
No, not really. I mean,
nothing that was a huge stinker, and I was always impressed with her matches.
So yeah, I mean, like, I know not to beat a dead horse, but it's just as far as, like, I think we all can agree, the three of us, when we saw this news, we didn't overreact like a lot of people. And I think a lot of people need to realize, look at the situation. It's not WWE being the big, bad, evil company. You got to look at the bigger picture. What's going on here? What's the purpose? And also, I mean, kudos to Adam Pearce and Drew Gulak. That's cool that WWE is using them as like a teacher or coaching role, especially for Adam Pearce, a guy who's pretty much had his career outside of WWE, who's been brought in, doing a great job on TV, but now behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, and let's just finish this up by saying if Pat McAfee were to give his opinion, he'd say that we're right, you're wrong, suck it, nerds.
And on that note, we'll move on from there. But yeah, that's the big thing. It's like, people relax, don't overreact. Try to break down the story.
Yes, here. Cindy, we're talking to you. Don't overreact.
All right. Moving on over to Monday Night Raw this week. A show that I felt was kind of a copy and paste from the previous week in some ways.
Some hits and some misses.
Yeah. Yes. So let's just go through. We'll run through some of the highlights here. Opening segment involved Randy Orton cutting a promo, and very similar to like Braun Strowman's promo, I think, a few months ago, as far as dealing with the same guy, Bray Wyatt here, as far as he's going to look at the devil in the face or something like that, paraphrasing here. Pretty much he's saying like he's going to have to get evil to take on this evil person, the Fiend. But then we see the Firefly Funhouse pop up on the screen, and Bray Wyatt dressed up like a game show host with the wig and the microphone, and it turns to a whole game show segment here.
Kind of The Price is Right.
Yeah. So yeah, Richard, what you think of this whole opening segment?
I'm good with anything Bray Wyatt does. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. As great as it was, I did notice. Obviously, Alexa Bliss was not on the show this week. I don't know if there was a reason why, non-kayfabe, why she was not there.
I don't know.
But I'm so used to seeing her now with Bray Wyatt. So when she's not there, I think the segment suffers a little bit. So I hopefully she'll be back, by next week's episode. Yeah. But nonetheless, it's just adding more fuel to their matchup, which is coming at TLC. So, and we'll talk more about their segment, because at the main event, Randy Orton challenged Bray Wyatt, just normal Bray Wyatt, or Firefly Funhouse version of Bray Wyatt for the main event here. So we'll touch on more of that when we get to that. Next up, a match that on paper, it's a big deal, but they didn't really make it a big deal or promote it that much.
Yeah.
Asuka taking on Shayna Baszler for the very first time. Their paths never really crossed before.
Not in NXT.
Yeah, so first time ever. I mean, Shayna Baszler had one of the longest title reigns in NXT, multiple title reign, and Asuka has the longest title reign in NXT. So these are top two.
Single title reign, yeah.
Yeah, the top two.
Two women in NXT history that's held the title the longest.
Yeah, so... I mean, you would think they would like put more build into this and be like, "Oh my God, this is the best here."
This is like a WrestleMania type matchup.
Well, I think when it comes down to when they actually have that one-on-one feud, they're going to make us forget about this. I think in a week or two, we're already going to forget about it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it was a shorter match. It was pretty quick, and I mean, the story here was more of Lana, who's been kind of sidekicking for
been the
Asuka.
focus on Lana.
We got a taste. I was happy to see that. And it was just kind of, oh boy, like because like I wouldn't want their first match like real definitive pin or submission to be on TV like that anyway.
Yeah, so Lana got involved, and Shayna Baszler ultimately got the loss because Lana jumped on Nia Jax and pushed her into the table.
Yeah.
And then Shayna Baszler was like looking at Lana, and Asuka came up for a quick roll up to get the win. So I just got Richard, what are your thoughts of Asuka and Lana working together? Lana more or less becoming like a baby face by way of aligning herself with Asuka. And I will admit, I think she's getting better each week. Like every week she's doing something else in the ring that kind of shows she's been improving.
I think that the way that this has been going and the slow build and pace for it is really well. It's very similar to what they're doing with Big E on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we've seen her get destroyed for how many weeks? 10 weeks in a row. And she gets this fluke victory at Survivor Series, and since then, she's getting a little bit of in-ring action, and like she's maximizing her minutes in the ring. So she's bumping more. I believe her when she's in defense, like when she's trying not to get hit and she's kind of curling up. Like it looks believable. And we know she's trained, so she knows how to take a bump.
Yeah.
It's kind of. It wouldn't surprise me in a year if she's starting to look like Trish. Because if you remember when Trish Stratus first came in, she's just a fitness model, and she would just have cat fights and hair pulling matches. And,
and she was a manager.
Then she disappeared for a couple months, and she came back as like this incredible wrestler.
Yeah.
Like out of the blue.
Yeah. So I'm with you. Lana, I wonder how long it'll take before, maybe there's a bigger transformation coming with her and her in-ring performance. So
it feels like it too, and I think when we get it, it's going to be against Nia.
Cool. And that's the thing. Shayna's the one that's been eating a lot of these pins or losses the last few weeks. Nia's been protected, just standing out there. Yeah. So I don't know why they're protecting Nia so much, but it's interesting. So I think they're saving it. That moment where Lana gets a big win over Nia at some point.
If you look at it too, they're keeping Lana away from Nia.
Yeah.
Because it's mainly been Shayna with her gut wrench suplexes on Lana every week and just tossing her around. And then Lana will get some like crazy little pin in. She doesn't get the 1, 2, 3 at first, but like these roll-ups that are kind of impressive because it's amateur roll-ups.
Yeah. So no, I'm curious. I mean, I love Asuka, so Lana, I think, is going to benefit by aligning with Asuka and just kind of hopefully feed off her charismatic character. So looking forward to see what else they can continue off that. Next up, Ricochet, Dana Brooke team up, take on Slapjack and Reckoning from Retribution. Not much to say here. Ricochet and Dana Brooke got the win. Mustafa Ali started yelling at Reckoning some more. I don't know what's going to happen if Reckoning's going to just be kicked out and then maybe they'll just repackage her as Mia Yim. So then Mia Yim can finally be on the Raw women's roster as her normal self. So I don't know. Not much to talk about with that. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, Kofi Kingston in double action on Monday night. So he had a match against Shelton Benjamin of the Hurt Business, got the win. and then had to take on Cedric Alexander, or Cedric Alexander called him out. It's like, hey, come back in the ring. I love Cedric Alexander's character work as of late in the Hurt Business, really barking and like challenging people and being really aggressive. Kofi comes back for a second match, and ultimately Cedric gets the win here. So
and it was
Cedric,
a good match too.
Yeah, it was a great match. So Richard, your thoughts on Cedric really kind of standing out for the Hurt Business and taking out both members of the New Day in the last couple weeks?
I like it. I mean, I like the New Day a lot, and I like the Hurt Business, and I just like that this is been a feud since the New Day's come over to Raw. Because it's kind of like when you would have a SmackDown, which was every SmackDown, you'd have Kurt Angle against Chris Benoit in the main event. And it'd be like, oh my God, again? And then you watch it and it's like, oh, that was so good. That was so good. So it's just kind of, with any variety of Kofi and Xavier or one-on-one against any of the members of the Hurt Business, it's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess what my one little holdback is, my problem with Raw for the last 6 months or so, we'll see like two tag teams go at it for months on end. We saw the Street Profits with Andrade and Angel Garza. Like 1 week, they'll both take on each other non-title, and then one person will face the other person. Then the following week, the other person will face the other person, and vice versa. These mixed match situations, and then the pay-per-view, and then a rematch at the following pay-per-view, and it drags on forever, and you get really burnt out. With that being said, I'm trying to just be optimistic here as far as, okay, New Day Hurt Business, that's the current feud right now. It was announced that they're going to have a Raw tag title match at TLC. I kind of wonder if Hurt Business will actually pull off the win and then add more gold to their stable, which I'm hoping for.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping once that's over, let the rivalry end, and then let the Hurt Business move on to somewhere else or a new opponent.
Do you think if that happens, potentially the New Day split? Because I don't get a feeling like a very authentic New Day feeling for this.
Well, I mean, Xavier, he'll probably be busy with the G4 stuff.
Maybe give him some time off.
Or maybe take him off TV for a little bit.
But potentially we could be getting Lashley and Kofi, which would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Or, Matt Riddle was, I think, supposed to take on Lashley at some point. I don't know if that's still going to happen at some point.
Yeah, that's
the
a possibility.
bro nuts.
Yeah, the bro nuts.
But, I'm just saying, as far as New Day and Hurt Business, if there's a title change at TLC, great for Hurt Business. Let them move on to a new opponent. Like, I just don't want this rivalry to overstay its welcome, and then we all get burnt down. It's like, oh, here they go again.
Like the Mysterios and Seth Rollins.
Exactly. Next up, we saw, I do want to mention Miz TV. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus came out.
I thought this was funny.
I had my finger ready to fast forward on this.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm just so entertained by Miz and Morrison and their chemistry together.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great package for Raw to have them there and not SmackDown.
Yeah.
Well, it just, I know they're not doing the tag team thing right now because Miz is focusing on the championship and Morrison's just his sidekick. But they are, former SmackDown tag team champions. So maybe it's someday they can be the ones to challenge whoever the Raw tag team champions is in the near future.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway, what I love, is Drew McIntyre and Sheamus pretty much scare Miz and Morrison. And I think even, was AJ come out for that promo?
AJ came out with almost, and they were saying, well, it's 4-on-1. And then Drew came out, and then they get into a fight, and AJ even said, you're still outnumbered by 2, but then he didn't do anything.
He just walks out. But
he just walked out.
But Drew McIntyre takes the Money in the Bank briefcase and launches it all the way up the ramp, and it takes out one of the LED screens on the entrance. So
it's kind of like the Scottish games they do, they throw that big, it's kind of like
it's a ball.
Yes, but kind of like
it's like a stone ball or lead ball, and they spin it and they throw it to see how far you can throw it.
That's
what
it was.
Exactly how.
That's what it was.
Threw it.
I would love
Like the discus throw in the in Olympics or track and field.
Well, to Drew's credit, he like makes this face like, oh, him and Sheamus are laughing, but I wonder if deep down he's like, oh man, did I create like a bunch of damage?
Nah.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, exactly.
But then later on, so we see a 2-on-3 handicap match of AJ Styles along with Miz and Morrison taking on Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Great match. I mean, God, all 5 of these guys are awesome in their own right.
Yeah.
Hard hitting.
AJ was a chicken shit. That was the thing that excited me about that segment, though, for the pay-per-view, is that I didn't realize that we've never had AJ and Drew before.
Yeah.
So, like, because of that segment, I was like, ooh, that's something to look forward to.
Exactly.
It's never happened anywhere.
And also, we saw earlier was a Keith Lee confront Sheamus. It's like, hey, you're going to turn on him tonight, huh? So, they keep asking Sheamus if he's going to turn on Drew McIntyre because Sheamus has been a bad guy as of late. He's all of a sudden being buddy best friends again with Drew McIntyre. So everyone's like questioning what his motives are. So anyway, the match is taking place. Sheamus accidentally bro kicks Drew McIntyre, and then ultimately AJ Styles, Miz and Morrison get the victory.
Yeah.
Later on, we see Sheamus backstage looks scared. Like he just saw a ghost.
Big boot mark on the side of his face, too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
You can almost read who made the boot.
Yeah.
But Sheamus was scared that Drew was going to come back there and kick his ass, but he was trying to stay on the microphone in the interview. It was like, it was an accident. And then after commercial break,
out of nowhere,
they're fighting.
They're beating the shit out of each other.
They're fighting. And then they pick up that one guy, the redhead guy. I forgot his name.
Pat Buck, yes.
They pick him up together.
And they powerbomb him to that table with all the food, the snacks that were there on the table. And then next thing you know it, they're looking at each other and they're like all laughing and jovial, that's being friends again.
That's just how the Celtic people act. They get in fights and then they have a beer after.
It's it's a typical bar fight for them.
Seamus like, let's get a pint now. You're buying this time.
Yeah.
And so I guess, it's very much, as you say, the UK, Scottish and Irish people, like they might have a little gripe. Let's let off some emotion, some steam, and then go have a beer after.
That's what it is.
I think I would like it more for them to stay friends and not keep having fights like this or even matches like that. But not have something. I don't think it needs I'm going to turn on you and we can't be friends anymore.
We're so conditioned to that.
I know.
Yeah.
As far as any sort of tension, oh my God, someone's going to turn on the other person. No, it's like, okay, they just got, no one's perfect.
And sometimes it works really well. Like when, remember when AJ first came to WWE and he started teaming with Jericho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made Y2AJ t-shirts?
Yeah.
And then that night, Jericho turned on him.
Yeah.
The night the t-shirt came out, and it was just like that is a very good swerve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm with that. As long as they can still be buddies, and I mean, who knows if Sheamus should turn on at some point, if they're hurting for opponents for Drew McIntyre.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if Sheamus earns a title shot from a match, I think that's the way to go, and then kind of have Sheamus, because right now Drew really doesn't have anyone in his back pocket anymore. Because he used to have Street Profits. That's his buddies.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying.
And right now, if something were to happen, like Randy Orton or The Fiend or whomever, he's got no one to watch his back. So if he had Sheamus around, at least he has Sheamus, but then he could also have matches with Sheamus.
Yeah, exactly. So looking forward to, Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles at TLC should be really good. Next up, real quick, Bobby Lashley defeated Jeff Hardy. Matt Riddle came out, was in Jeff Hardy's corner, kind of cheering him on.
Came to his aid.
Yeah, so I think we're still going to get that Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle segment, but Matt Riddle kind of going around trying to promote different products to people, the bro nuts.
He's a pitch salesman.
Yeah, I'm liking this Matt Riddle very much because I feel like this is something that they wanted out of RVD back in the day, and you could tell RVD was hesitant about it.
Yeah,
when he was doing it, but Riddle just seems like he's having a blast doing it.
It's
natural
because I'll look at Twitter, I'll watch in real time, and I'll look on Twitter, and some people hate it, some people like it. I giggle. I mean, like I said, for the entertainment aspect,
it's just juvenile.
Yeah,
there's so much. It's funny because there's so much that I'll see people comment on my page saying wrong, or it's not the Attitude Era, blah blah blah. But it's like, if you're really watching, there is enough Attitude Era still around, like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just juvenile humor. It's funny.
Yeah.
Like, not every and if you hold the Attitude Era in such high regard, I challenge those people to go back and watch a full episode and tell me you liked every single thing on it.
I thought about this, like, how fun would it be maybe if we go back and as bonus episodes review like episodes of Raw from like 97 or something. God, like relive our childhood.
Because everyone was jumping up and down for Steve Blackman against Too Cold Scorpio.
Ooh. Might have to watch that on the network.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. It's like, for me, I mean, my personality, personally, I don't take things too seriously.
No.
And so I try to enjoy the goofiness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's wrestling. It's supposed to be a little bit goofy.
But overall, they still have great matches.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I said with Matt Riddle, if we get more of his personality, I'm all for it. And I think there are a lot of people. I'm trying to be nice, but I think at times there could be a lot of sensitive people out there, and they'll voice their opinions on Twitter because we can't. It's
trendy.
Everyone in the palm of their hand can voice their opinions at any given second, at any point in the day. And so
those are the people I block.
But the second you don't like something, they're always voicing their opinion. I hate this. I hate this. And so imagine if Twitter was around, during the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era would not be as probably praised as it is to, as well as we view it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if social media was back to the Attitude Era probably would have failed drastically from all the pressure of social media.
Oh, yeah.
And there'd be a lot more wrestlers that lost their jobs.
Exactly.
So,
I know exactly. Yes. Main event time. We saw Randy Orton take on just Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend, just normal Bray Wyatt, Mr. Rogers version.
Yep.
Pretty good match here. I laughed when they were outside. Bray Wyatt grabs the headset and says, "Yowie, wowie, we'll be right back."
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Did you notice that Bray did different things as this character in this match opposed to the other times he's done this character?
As far as,
like, he tried to do like a Raven-esque even flow DDT as a finish at one point, and it was just kind of like his movements, everything was like a different wrestler, a completely different performer. And I was just like, God, he's just adding layers to this character.
And maybe the way he brawls a little bit, it's kind of like Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And that's a good point, is I think for Bray, hopefully that's some detail he's really trying to put out there as far as when he's Bray Wyatt is a certain wrestling style and performance. When he's The Fiend, you're going to get a different type of match. So kudos to him for paying attention to that little bit of detail. And then who knows, maybe he'll do more of the Bray Wyatt, Mr. Rogers gimmick for more matches, because he's only done a couple, right? He had the Miz match earlier this year.
Yeah.
We don't see it too often. He had the Braun Strowman. So this is like the third time this year he's done the Mr. Rogers gimmick in the ring. So maybe we'll see more of that in 2021, but it'll be two different styles of matches. It'll be Bray Wyatt one style, and then The Fiend's another style. So
it's like Mick Foley.
But totally. But so at the very end, Randy Orton has Bray Wyatt out on the ground and in the ring, and all of a sudden, room goes black, comes back on, lights turn back on. We see The Fiend laying there, took a spot. So, what'd you think of just that little cut and paste, I guess you could say, or a little video editing there?
I like it.
I like it a lot because it's not something that we're going to see when we have live crowds again.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true.
That's one good thing about this Thunderdome or this pandemic era is, like, you can kind of cut and edit some stuff and make some really fun jump cuts for a finale of it.
Tweak
of an
a thing or
episode.
two.
There have been a lot for as frustrating at times as it's been. There have been a lot of things that I found really refreshing about the pandemic era, like when someone comes out and jumps someone in the ring. Like you don't have that reaction from the crowd spoiling it before it happens.
Oh yeah,
that's been pretty cool.
Well, another thing too is you think about it, during this era, the pandemic era, the crowds are not overtaking the situation and telling us who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. WWE is telling us this is the bad guy right now, this is the good guy. You're going to cheer for him. based on the pipe-in noise that they have in.
I know. I was just gonna say I'm fine with the piped-in noise because I'm not noticing it. You know, like it. I see
white
people.
noise.
Yeah, it's just background, and I've watched enough wrestling in my life to recognize that sound. I've watched enough SmackDown in my life because SmackDown's always had piped-in noise.
Yeah,
but to me, it doesn't bother me because I'm focused on the in-ring work, which everyone claims they are, but then they have time to point out who's on the Thunderdome-tron and dressed like what. And
Yeah. So I enjoyed the finish for this match. It was really cool. And also, it was the last Raw or just last WWE show inside the Amway Center in Orlando. And we'll jump into the new home of the Thunderdome later on for SmackDown. So, good episode of Raw. And looking forward to next week's episode, which I think would be the go home for or is TLC next weekend or the weekend after?
It's in 8 days or a week next week.
Okay, so the go home show will be coming up. So looking for TLC coming up pretty soon. All right, jump on over to Wednesday night for NXT. A lot of stuff here. Honestly, I know we haven't done this on a regular. I really thought NXT was the best show this week for multiple reasons.
Oh yeah.
I did not. I thought it was the weakest of the three.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I thought you were going to love it because of someone's big return.
That was the only thing I really loved about it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it.
Let's cut to it.
Okay. So Finn Balor. Okay. So I will say my initial thought for this episode of NXT, I thought a lot of stories were being created from this episode, a lot of fresh new storylines. And we'll go through it real quick. So, opening segment, Finn Balor, NXT champion, makes his big return. Talks about what his plans are, and sure enough, he was confronted by a handful of challengers.
Well, I thought it was funny that he kept saying that now that the team sports are through,
War Games.
It's time for the Prince to shine. And we got Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly and
Damian Priest. And then, so all three of them come out, and rightfully so. All three of them do have legit beef with Finn Balor or a reason to be next in line for a championship match against him.
They're all worthy challengers.
Damian Priest, even though he lost the North American Championship, but I really think in some ways NXT, as far as the North American Championship, it's the stepping stone to the main event scene. So he accomplished North American Championship. And plus, didn't they take on each other in your house?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
That was a great match they had.
Pete Dunne's the only one I don't think we've seen against Balor.
Yeah, and he's been doing great things, obviously, with War Games and whatnot. Kyle O'Reilly, he said, hey, I just want to broke your jaw, and, I want a rematch. And so Finn leaves the ring as the three of them are all kind of, talking it out. And sure enough, he gets to the top of the ramp, and we see Miss Scarlett Bordeaux, or I guess just Scarlett, make her big return to NXT, and whew, man, that outfit.
Her getup looked kind of like Lady Gaga, a little bit.
I'm as into it. I'm going to be careful with what I say out of fear.
Okay.
I'll go.
No, I get what you're saying. So, she confronts Finn Balor, and more or less that's a sign that, if Scarlett is around, then someone else is not too far behind, aka
TikTok.
I was say Killer Kross, Karrion Kross.
Doomsday clock counted down.
So they go to commercial. After that, we see Jake Atlas take on Swerve Scott, a match that we've seen Tommy in person at APW
a couple years ago
now. So two of APW's finest
alumni.
Yeah, great match here. Solid. It was kind of short. But Jake Atlas finally gets a win over Swerve.
Gets the roll-up pin.
Atlas...
Big win for him, though.
Yeah, finally. And then he stuck his hand out to shake Swerve's hand. Swerve just kind of brushes it off and walks out and looks pissed off. So, I don't know, Richard, are you okay for a potential heel turn here for Isaiah Swerve?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He needs something. Yeah.
He needs a push in the right direction. And because we've seen him main event or be the main event in other companies, and I'm confident that he could carry NXT if push came to shove. So he's got a lot of charisma, and people are really, really I was late to the party on him. Mm-hmm. And after I kind of got it, then I was just kind of like, yeah, this guy's really good.
Well, a couple things to keep in mind as far as his presentation in NXT. He comes out with the glasses and very kind of smooth, cocky, but he's been a baby face. You kind of keep that same thing, but point it in more of a heelish direction. That could really add some fun layers to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of already there.
It's like a male Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and, listen, let's think about it. I mean, Velveteen Dream hasn't been doing much on TV as of late. Maybe could he kind of fill that spot that Velveteen Dream kind of dropped the ball and left behind?
That could work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that could be something to think about. Next up, we saw a triple threat tag team match. One of our favorite tag teams ever, Rise. Along with Imperium, and the grizzled young veterans.
Oh yeah.
This match was just awesome. As far as I'm so happy to see Imperium and grizzled young veterans. Looks like both are going to stay in NXT for the time being. So they both probably accomplished so much in NXT UK. You get them bumped up to NXT Prime,
right?
So great match here, Tommy. I know you were.
I don't even know if it's that, because we don't know if they're going to stay. Like, this might just be because they need more tag teams on NXT, so let's import them.
I personally want...
because there have been a couple of tag teams lately, like the Malcolm Bivens tag team, the two Indian guys that haven't been on in months.
Yeah.
So this might just be, those guys need to get some seasoning still, so we're going to use some established teams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And plus, I feel Imperium, I personally want them to go back to UK and reunite with Walter and Alexander Wolf. I mean, but overall, grizzled young veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson, so much continuity between these two. And I enjoy their work in the ring.
So good.
I'll say this, too, that I think that there is a slight mistake in having, I think you're right, Imperium should be in the UK. I think they should have brought over Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews instead.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they would have connected with the NXT audience a little bit more. The regular NXT audience.
Yeah, I agree.
They're definitely fun, like pop culture-esque vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see what you're saying.
They got that mod style.
And they're not big enough stars where you're taking away from NXT UK, like if you were to take Mustache Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the right team, because they are a good tag team, and NXT doesn't have like a cruiserweight tag team.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but great match. Everrise, they did their job, which was eat the pin in this match. So that way Imperium still looks strong. Everrise took the pin here. Mm-hmm. I just wonder, will Everrise ever get a push down the road? Like a legit push, like a legit tag team?
Maybe. Time will tell.
Richard, you look... I love Everrise. I want big things for them.
You strike me as the kind of person that was a big fan of the Quebecers.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
What you threaten them with coins in your hand?
It's the fleur de lis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bring back the
La fin de mondaine. Yeah, the end of the world.
We're the Rougeaus right now.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, they got some funny stories, them with the Bulldogs and all that.
Oh, yeah, the Rougeaus, yeah.
Next up, we saw Tommaso Ciampa take on Cameron Grimes.
I like this. a lot. This was a highlight of the show for me.
Dude, I mean...
And the aftermath was great, too.
Yeah, so Timothy Thatcher comes out, watches the match, a little bit role reversal, kind of payback for Ciampa, watching him, scouting him out.
Well, do you think that's what it is, or do you think potentially we're going to see a partnership?
Well, okay, so, Ciampa does get the win over Grimes, but great match overall, the back and forth. Do yourself a favor, watch if you haven't done so yet.
Good ebb and flow.
Thatcher stands up, and then one of his students, is it Russ Taylor?
Taylor Rust.
Or Taylor Rust. I'm getting confused. They just reversed his name from Evolve, right? Or whatever it was. So he comes in, attacks Ciampa, and then we see Timothy Thatcher stands up, and Cameron Grimes comes out of the ring and confronts Cameron Grimes confronts Timothy Thatcher,
right?
And all of a sudden, Timothy Thatcher grabs Cameron Grimes' leg and like twists his leg, and Cameron Grimes like like yelling.
Yeah. It looked like she was going to put him in an ankle lock.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
So it looks like Thatcher and Cameron Grimes are going to have a program. And then I guess Ciampa and that Russ guy are going to have their own thing.
That's cool.
But Richard, we saw Malcolm Bivens make a return to NXT. And
oh, yeah.
pretty much said he gave a card to Rust. And is Bivens going to have another person to manage here at some point?
It looks like it. Also, where the hell is Robert Stone?
I know. NXT has two great managers.
Malcolm Bivens and Robert Stone.
They should both be there. One of them should be
or maybe that's something we should look forward to, because maybe they'll come back with something cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're building up to something.
So I want either Bivens or Robert Stone to be like Bobby the Brain, have like a list of just different people they represent. That's something I miss.
Like a stable, a family.
They just rotate. Because
if you watch WrestleMania 3, like Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart are coming out every match in a different outfit.
Right.
And it's like they go to the back and come right back out with a different outfit on. It's like, oh my God.
And it was like that in WrestleMania 2 as well.
They worked harder than anyone on that show.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we saw Johnny Gargano along with his wife Candice LeRae, Austin Theory, Indy Hartwell, pretty much just celebrating
their victory.
From War Games. I guess they pretty much called their alliance The Way. Like, that's the way. So I was like, okay. But the main thing was it was cut short. Damian Priest comes out to confront them and, have a little back and forth. But then
this whole segment made me feel like if there was any one person I could trade at AEW, I'd trade Johnny Gargano.
Really?
For someone, he annoys the hell out of me.
Really?
I think his in-ring work is really good, but babyface or heel, he's just so flat on a microphone to me. It's frustrating.
Who would you trade him for? MJF?
No.
Joey Janela.
Jelly Nutella?
Oh, God, no.
What's their women's champion?
Sheeta?
Okay. Yeah, she's wasting talent over there.
Yeah. So,
all right.
But the main thing was Damian Priest confronts them, and so he's up on the ramp, and sure enough, big surprise return for Karrion Kross comes out
of nowhere,
beats the crap out of Damian Priest, throws him against one of the panels, and Richard, I know that's your boy. Your thoughts on Karrion Kross just coming out, laying out destruction.
Killer Karrion Kross made me very, very happy this week.
It's your boy.
That's it. He's my boy.
It was great, and he put Priest through a table, massive power bomb.
Well, it wasn't even the table thing. Wasn't as bad to me as him getting shoved into the grid.
Yeah,
it looked like he legit hit his head, and everyone's done that. Not been pushed, but like
there was like a fire extinguisher there.
Oh yeah.
I thought he hit his head on the fire extinguisher.
I did too. I rewound it. He got power bombed, and the fire extinguisher was on there.
Right.
And then it fell on his head.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Jeez.
I noticed that.
So right now, it kind of looks like there's a potential fatal 4-way for the number one contendership for
the
Finn
NXT
Balor's
title.
Yeah, so
I like that. We get to see 3 people get Doomsday Saido'd, and we'll get our world champion back on January the 6th on NXT New Year's Evil.
So that's what it's looking like here. So Damian Priest, Karrion Kross, Pete Dunne, and Kyle O'Reilly, all 4 of them going after Finn Balor. I'm curious what they're going to do. Are they going to do a fatal 4-way like they've done before after Karrion Kross gave up the title and they had the fatal 4-way to crown a new champion? Or will they have like 2 one-on-one matches and then those 2 winners face each other for number one contendership? I'm kind of curious what direction they're going to go.
It's up to William Regal.
Yeah. If you ask me, it's Karrion Kross. He deserves his title back. I'm not biased against Karrion Kross.
No,
the Toll Man, the devil of Monterey. I just think that William Regal should fall and pray and give this man his world title shot back.
Otherwise, Kross is probably going to take him out.
Really, who else do you really want to see those? It's like Taboo Tuesday. Do you want to see the other guys get a title shot over Kross? Really? I mean, Pete Dunne, I kind of do, just because I haven't seen it.
I like Pete Dunne, so
yeah. Well, so it's gonna be interesting if they're gonna do a fatal 4-way or how they're gonna get to crowning a new number one contender to then take on Finn Balor, which looks like it's going to be January 6th. Was it New Year's Evil?
New Year's Evil.
That's what they're calling it.
I had a funny thing for you.
What's that?
I think it was Bully Ray on Busted Open had said, "You know what Pete Dunne looks like?"
Go on.
You ever see the movie The Road Warrior with Mel Gibson?
Yes, I have. One of my personal favorites.
The little kid.
Yes, the little kid. Yeah. I definitely see that.
Pete Dunne's tan is so weird.
If any of you listeners don't know what I'm talking about, Google The Road Warrior with Mel Gibson, the second Mad Max movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little boy that basically wears what Pete Dunne wears with the fur and everything.
Right. Like
and
a caveman.
That's what Pete Dunne looks like.
Yeah, he looks like a caveman.
Well, Pete Dunne, like, I don't know, like, I it's great that he's all shredded out and stuff.
Oh, totally shredded.
But he looks like really skinny right now. But then like his tan, he like a really weird orange.
That's an Eric Bischoff approved tan right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But speaking of Pete Dunne, he had a match with Killian Dane. Dude, great hard hitting match here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Tom, you point out to me it's payback, or because keep in mind, Pat McAfee's crew took out Killian Dane, right, with the headshot with the car.
And Drake Maverick as well.
Yeah, so Pete Dunne and Killian Dane having this match here. Killian Dane wants some revenge here. We see the Lorcan and Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch come out as well. Ultimately, Pete Dunne does get the victory over Killian Dane.
And Drake Maverick comes out, too, to try to help. But, he was outnumbered.
Yeah, so I'm curious, will Killian Dane, Drake Maverick, will they be new contenders for the NXT Tag Championships? I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Sure.
And then main event time, Raquel Gonzalez taking on Ember Moon. So another fallout from War Games here. They had a little back and forth earlier in the show. Was it Tony Storm even tried to come out as well and all that stuff? But yeah, what'd you think of the main event here, Richard, between Raquel and Ember?
It's kind of flat to me.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for me. I was surprised when it was over that was the main event. I thought there was going to be another match or something. And
well,
I think Raquel's on a good trajectory, but it needs to be with the right person. I think I would have liked to have seen her dominate someone like Shotzi over trying to have a competitive match with Ember Moon because Ember's light years ahead in experience with than her.
Well, also so Raquel's definitely kind of like got this mean streak now even more because Dakota Kai's hurt or got hurt from War Games, so at least she's like trying to get payback on her behalf. Even earlier tonight at the highlight package with everyone talking about the War Games, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Raquel looked dominant here. I love her finisher, the powerbomb, one hand powerbomb. So she ultimately does defeat Ember Moon. Tony Storm comes out, and then Rhea Ripley comes out for the save, and then Rhea and Raquel have a stare down. So I'm curious, are they going to try to have another match between the two? Because they did have one within the last month or so that a lot of people enjoyed. So I mean, the women's division NXT is stacked.
Yeah,
we said this last week. The War Games represented all 8 top female contenders. I'm really curious who's going to be like the new number one contender for Io Shirai.
I just want to see Tony Storm and Io Shirai go at it.
Yeah, I mean that could be one possibility, or Raquel and Rhea, Amber versus Tony. Then where does Io go? Does she wait on the sideline for all that to blow over and then have a new number one contender? So a lot of stuff to look over. So NXT, like I said, I think a lot of great storylines are being developed from this week's episode. A lot of stuff to wait and see from the main event scene, the women's scene, even the mid-card scene. With Swerve, the tag team. So a lot of good stuff from this week's episode of NXT.
Quality show, I thought.
All right, let's move on over to Friday Night SmackDown.
My favorite show of the week.
Really?
All right.
Please explain to me kind of your initial takeaway.
I just felt like that everything is just kind of moving the way it should be. Everything's flowing the way I know it, and I like it. I thought that the main event was stellar. I loved Otis and
Chad Gable
against Cesaro and Nakamura. I thought that was surprisingly good.
It was.
And I really liked the ladies tag.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. So, opening segment, Sasha Banks comes out to sign the contract. Carmella doesn't come out. She's in the back.
I like that. Where Sasha opened it up and was just like, Adam, what the hell?
no contract there.
Yeah,
she's being a diva.
She just belittles Adam Pearce. And Adam Pearce just had this look on his face like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, they got the contract and she stamped it with her boss stamper. Like, that goes back to her NXT days. That the little stamp thing. So how she signs contracts.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I liked how she pretty much called out Carmella and be like, you know what? Let's have our match tonight. And so that was the main event here. So I wonder, will they still have a TLC match as well?
Okay. And who's that guy that Carmella's with?
I think he was on NXT a couple months ago. Like when the
Right.
pandemic first started.
Yeah.
He kind
familiar. Of had that remember when Prince Iakea was the artist formerly known as Prince Iakea?
Yes, I do.
He had a gimmick like that, if it's the same guy.
All right.
Okay.
He like came out on Raw, I think. It wasn't even NXT. Like we saw him on Raw one week, and then a week or two later he was on NXT and had like a real match.
Okay, I have to look that up.
Okay.
So, a great opening segment just to set up the main event here. Next up, Dolph Ziggler taking on Montez Ford. So,
that was really, really good.
It was wicked good.
Dude.
Did you see Jerry Lawler's tweet during that?
Yeah, was that real?
Yeah, because the night that Lawler had his heart attack, he had a match with Ziggler earlier that night, and he felt something when Ziggler was doing the repeated elbow drops.
Oh yeah,
like that's when he started to feel bad because he actually hit something in his chest that kind of fucked with him, and so like.
I remember when he had the heart attack. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But
but great match here. I mean, because we've seen Street Profits and Ziggler and Rude going back and forth, and so the two of them here. What's that? You find it?
Yeah, I found it. Jerry Lawler tweeted, "I remember when he did this to me, and then I died."
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Lawler, he's such a funny dude. So.
Yeah, he's a zombie.
Yeah. He's the new Undertaker. But no, the great match here. They had a lot of time to show off their athleticism. Ultimately, Robert Roode interfered. Montez Ford got distracted. Ziggler capitalized, and then Ziggler with the super kick, and then picked up the victory.
Yeah.
I like this combination of people. I also really, really liked that. I felt like we got to see what Montez Ford can do on his own. We've seen it a little bit here and there, but not with someone the caliber of Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I love the Street Profits. I hope they have a great long reign together.
I don't. I hope that Ziggler and Rude beat him. That would be glorious.
I really want Bobby Roode or Robert Roode, whatever you want to call him. I want him to have a singles run again. Yeah. Like what he had at NXT. I want that on the main roster.
Yeah.
We never got
even then, I'm with you. And I don't know why even in TNA, like he always got pigeonholed in these tag teams. They're great tag teams, and it's kind of a curse. Like he's a great tag team wrestler. Kind of like
Cesaro.
Kane and Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
They were great tag team wrestlers, but you think of them individually.
Yeah.
Arn Anderson.
American males.
Oh God!
One of the greatest themes ever.
When you say Buff Bagwell, that's all I think about. But no, great match here between the two of them, and just adding more fuel to the fire. Now I don't know. I thought I heard something like they're gonna have the actual SmackDown Tag Championship match next week on SmackDown, or if that's gonna be a TLC. I gotta double check. So keep an eye out for that. Also, a heads up before I forget. SmackDown next week will be on FS1 apparently.
Yeah, there's football, I think.
And then also, this was the first night of Thunderdome inside the Tropicana Field, right, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. So, before I forget, what'd you think? It just looked exactly the same.
You can tell.
I didn't even notice till you brought it up on the show.
Yeah. So this was the first time in Tampa Bay.
But I showed you that tweet earlier this week of what it looked like inside. Yeah.
So they set up right inside the field, the diamond.
I think the match is going to be at TLC. I'm guessing next week we're going to get Robert Roode against Angelo Dawkins.
Yeah, I got to double check on that. So it's going to build to something.
Yeah.
Next up, so we saw Sami Zayn backstage, pissed off. There's a merch table. Like, why is there a merch table? There's no fans. But he was pissed.
You realize how much you've talked about what was on SmackDown? And we're not even done with this yet.
I know.
That's how good it was.
SmackDown.
Yeah. So Sami Zayn was complaining he doesn't have a Sami Zayn shirt. Big E comes out, showed off his new shirt. Yeah. And then they have a Sami Zayn shirt. It was like a stick figure. Yeah. And it actually is available on WWEshop.com right now.
I have to take a look.
We should get that. We should get that.
It's out
that
there.
That is the second worst WWE merchandise I've ever seen, which I think is great. The B team.
The B team. Okay, I was going to say that.
Yes. For sure.
So they have a match.
There's no question. Like, I remember that coming out. I'm like, that is the worst T-shirt I've ever seen, and I love it.
We see Big E take on Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn wins by count out. Big E got outsmarted. So I don't know. What'd you think about how Sami Zayn went under the ring?
Two thumbs up.
Outsmarted
we were just talking about at Survivor Series how Sami Zayn was so cocky going into that match with Lashley, and there was no way that he could win because the ring had all the members of the Hurt Business. So like the fact that like if it was 1-on-1, that's how he would have beat Lashley. Since he had a 1-on-1 with Big E, that's how he beat Big E.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm guessing we have a rematch.
He used the same strategy that he claimed that he had at Survivor Series, but his Survivor Series strategy didn't include the rest of the Hurt Business.
That's right.
Because if you remember, he kept running out of the ring and trying to avoid Lashley. He did the same thing with him, but like the last couple of weeks, we've seen him in matches with Daniel Bryan and Chad Gable, and it's like he's wrestling those matches. But if it's a bigger guy, he's going to use his brain.
Yeah. So
he's a diabolical genius.
So I'm guessing I have a rematch, maybe at TLC. We'll see what happens. Before I forget, on Talking Smack this week, Paul Heyman had a great segment with Big E.
Got real.
Yeah, like I don't know if you want to touch on it real quick, but Paul Heyman more or less said the New Day is going to be a small footnote in the long greatness story of Big E, and he said, "Look at Roman Reigns." Since he's been back, they've never talked about the Shield. It's all been about him. So, I mean, God, that's such a big talking point right there. Maybe we'll save it for another day. But just Paul Heyman really putting in Big E's heads. Like, dude, you have potential to do something really great here.
Do you think that that's all for a future video package down the line with Roman?
Exactly.
Yeah.
WWE is great of like probably doing these little segments, and they're on file and could be used if they need to down the road. This could be just a great segment for just motivating Big E to go off and do a great run. Or if they ever come back and do have Big E versus Roman at WrestleMania, they have this video to work the video package.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a great. I put it up on our Twitter page if you want to look at it. So we'll quickly run through here real quick. So Kevin Owens comes out to the ring and says he has like tables, ladders, and chairs. These are all his friends ready to take on Roman Reigns at TLC.
That was the one part of the show that kind of
it got a little cheesy.
I didn't care for it. It got real cheesy.
Yeah, but then as he's out there, Jay and Roman are staring at TV, and Jay's like, "Let me go out there and take him on. Let me beat him down for you." And he's like, "All right, go do it." He goes out there, starts beating up Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens comes back, beats him up, and then Roman comes out and was like ready to confront him, but then he stopped. Paul Heyman said, "Let's go," and they leave. Kevin Owens is, hobbling on one leg, trying to get to the back. He's doing an interview, and he says he's not afraid of Roman and whatnot. Then Roman comes out of nowhere and just beats the crap out of Kevin Owens. Dude, this segment was awesome.
It was a brutal beatdown.
And Roman's wearing some old school Jordans, and like he's wearing some royal blue Jordans and Jordan 1s, and beating the crap out of Kevin Owens here. Yeah. And then ultimately looks at the camera and introduces himself to Kevin Owens' family and says, hi, I'm the guy that's going to beat up your dad and take food off your table. Oh,
Yeah, that was gold.
Richard, come on, dude, that was amazing.
I thought it was really good, and at the same time, it kind of made me feel like, what is going to become of Kevin Owens after this match?
I like if Big E's not
it's
the
just
one.
It's going to be back of the line for him.
And that's a great point, great discussion topic maybe for another day as far as the story of Kevin Owens on the main roster. Is he going to be eventually elevated as like the next Stone Cold, the like everyday blue collar man?
No. I think he should stop. I think he needs to move away from that because to me, the babyface Kevin Owens is a failed experiment. Like heel Kevin Owens, I believe he's going to win every match. Babyface, like I don't care as much.
Okay, that's very valid.
So, like if he's a heel, I think I want him to win. But when he's a babyface, I'm not invested.
Yeah,
like his stunner is not Austin's stunner.
No,
so it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. Next up, Riot Squad defeats Natty and Billy Kay. Billy Kay was going to surprise a teammate. It was Natty. I think a lot of people were bummed because I thought the rumor was going to be Eva Marie. Billy Kay
rises to the top, Danny. What did I say?
Yes.
What did I say when they broke up the Iconics?
Billy Kay's the real talent.
Yes.
Dude, she's been awesome.
She is so. I'm gonna compile because WWE's Instagram keeps posting her with a resume with people. I'm gonna compile all of them and make a long video.
Nice. Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, go with it.
No, but Billy Kay, she loses here, so I wonder if she'll try to go after the Riot Squad again with another new teammate. And maybe will be Eva Marie. Eva Marie's been rumored backstage or part of the talent. I don't know when she might show up. Next up, we saw Otis and Chad Gable take on Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. Chad Gable.
Next pay-per-view after this is the Rumble.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe Eva Marie will just be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you know that Rob Van Dam's contract's up.
With Impact. Oh yeah.
And that WWE has a new documentary coming out on him.
Icons.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So and supposedly Taya Valkyrie's contract's up after December.
Ooh. Yeah, she probably definitely wants to be with her husband.
Definitely.
Yeah. And she belongs there.
Oh yeah.
Or NXT or
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
WWE.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her in NXT.
So we see early in the show Otis being trained by Chad Gable, the Alpha Academy.
Yeah, being
Like,
the alpha
I
male.
love this pairing. I love this
Yeah,
pairing.
I do too.
It was like Star Wars-esque, Luke Skywalker being trained by Obi-Wan with the,
the blindfold.
and throwing the ball at him.
Yeah.
The medicine
Have
ball.
you seen Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I only seen the
it's
first
like that.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's just like that. It's
That's
just
great
like corny
stuff.
training and
Just
those
great
two actually
montage.
trained together before professional wrestling. They trained in amateur wrestling together.
Legit, yeah.
Yes, both
Legit.
amateur wrestlers.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that's why this is coming off so natural because like they actually know each other because it's like I don't know. I just find it funny because Chad Gable's like they're the same age, they have the same pedigree and background, and Chad Gable's his sensei. It's just like
Well, and here's the
What?
thing. And going back to like earlier, talking about Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, this one, Chad's going to turn on Otis eventually.
Oh yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
You don't think?
I think this is going to be a tag team.
You think it's going to be a legit, like, long-term
Yes.
tag?
Yes, I do.
All right.
All right.
See
well,
how that goes.
All right.
I think we're going to see a little sillier Chad Gable and a little more serious Otis. I think it's going to mesh well together because I feel like the rub from Chad Gable is going to make Otis more legitimate in front of the audience's eyes.
And less Chris Farley.
Less Chris Farley and less bushwhackers like he was with Tucker. So
Yeah.
you've got a super legitimate wrestler and then someone that is also a super legitimate wrestler, but he's been shown as silly.
Yeah.
And he's super over with the crowd.
And we saw here, so Shinsuke and Cesaro do win, and Chad used that as an opportunity to say, like, we lost because you shouldn't have tagged me in. You should have go for the win here. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of lessons being learned for Otis over the coming weeks.
But he he didn't get mad whatsoever. He literally turned it into a lesson for him.
Yeah, exactly. Main event time, we saw Sasha Banks take on Carmella here. Richard, I know it's fresh in your head since you just saw it, so you thought it was really good, right?
I gave it 2 massive thumbs up. This is the Carmella I've been telling you about that was in NXT before she left.
Yeah.
I feel like the one other time, I don't remember what I think it was a TLC actually. The one other time we got to see this kind of a pedigree and match with Carmella was a TLC match she had with Nikki Bella, if you remember.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
And it was a really good match, but that's kind of like the last time I can say I remember seeing that Carmella until now.
Yeah.
She looked amazing. But like totally. She went toe to toe, and it's not a new wrestler or someone that they don't know. This is someone that the company's comfortable with, and they've trusted her with a ton of segments, and we know she can talk in the mic.
She's a former 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion, so she does have the history of a legit threat. I just kind of wonder if Carmella coming back though to SmackDown, should she have been instead of being rushed into the title picture scene with Sasha Banks, could they give her some more like squash matches or something to kind of build her up, and then bring her over to Sasha Banks, like take their time a little bit, building her up with the storytelling there?
I'm wondering if she's been training with Sasha, and maybe that's why they're doing it like this.
Yeah,
maybe they know that Sasha and her are going to get the best out of each other, because the only other person I can think of on SmackDown that she could have the best out of would be Natalya or Bayley, but they're both heels. So
yeah, well,
the baby faces on SmackDown are all green.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my only concern is like, okay, you bring back Carmella, you have the vignettes, there's all this stuff. Her first program back is against Sasha Banks, and I anticipate Sasha's going to just win here and retain. So, you build her back up, just ultimately lose in her first program back. So that's my only concern. But nonetheless, yeah, great match here, Tommy. You thought it was a good one too, right?
Oh yeah, I thought it was. It was quality type match. Yeah.
Sasha Banks loses. Loses via DQ because she was just stomping Carmella in the corner, and then Carmella takes her outside and ultimately throws her head in the champagne holder thingamajig, the ice bucket.
The ice bucket.
Falls over, takes the champagne bottle, smashes into Sasha Banks' back, and then takes the other bottle, starts shaking it everywhere.
And she almost got Corey Graves and Michael Cole there,
Corey Graves were like, give it to me, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, break kayfabe. So, so she stands tall as Sasha Banks is laying there. And it was kind of odd because, like, I felt like she was kind of stalled for time because I think they probably went to that spot a little early. So for like the next 2 minutes, she's trying to talk to the camera. Yeah. And I think SmackDown still ended early. So
I don't think anyone was complaining because she was covered in champagne.
Yeah,
so.
it was a good look.
The internet seemed to like that look quite a bit.
Exactly. But great main event there, and I'm guessing they're gonna have probably a rematch at TLC. So great way to end SmackDown here, and just a great way to end a fun week in WWE programming this week. So a lot of stuff to look forward to, and next week's episodes, and we'll have our TLC review. I believe it's next weekend already. Man, okay.
Yeah.
Lots of to think about already.
You know what we forgot this week?
What's that?
We forgot to congratulate Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins on the birth of their first child.
Ro, is that the baby's name? Ro, R-O-U-X?
Yeah.
R-A-U-X, I think it is.
Yeah.
They didn't officially say it was a boy or girl. But
it was a girl.
It was a girl, right? Because it's the pink outfit.
Yeah.
Or like light pink or...
It's a girl.
Yeah.
Well, my parents put me in light pink as a kid.
Look how you turned out. Look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm fabulous.
Yes, congrats to both parents, first child, and the memes right after were funny. As far as like Vince on the phone says, "Hey, he's in the room, already asking her to come back already."
Did you ever see that segment? It was on the David Letterman show. It was like 35 years ago, where Vince McMahon guest starred, and this guy was having a baby, or him and his wife were expecting a baby, and Vince McMahon was there at the hospital giving us like commentary, live updates, and all this. It's a great segment.
God.
You got to check it out.
Someone should dub it over with feuding with Becky and Seth.
Oh my God, he's crowning. He's crowning.
Oh, but no, Richard, you said congrats, first ever man to give birth.
Oh yeah, the like Mr. What was that? Arnold Schwarzenegger Jr.
Oh, Jr.
Yeah, the Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah, with Danny DeVito. But yeah, congrats.
And her man had a baby.
Yeah. So, but it's just funny. Everyone's reacting like Vince probably was in the room right after she gave birth. Like, you ready to come back to Royal Rumble? Like,
goddamn, pal, hit the gym.
I mean, it's like, that's my thing. It's like, dude, Becky probably at least needs a few months just to be there for the baby.
Yeah, don't pull a Brie Bella and come back too early.
Yeah. Well, you're thinking of Junior, right?
Yeah, the movie Junior. Yeah. Arnold. David.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Great follow up to Twins. not a direct sequel. They're playing different characters,
right?
Reuniting.
Emma Thompson was in that one too.
Yeah, reuniting Schwarzenegger and DeVito. Yeah. But who knows what's Becky's future? What's her timetable to return? I just think. Just go enjoy being a mom now.
I miss her.
I know, we all miss her.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy. Congrats to them. Enjoy being a mom. And
Richard's wearing the bloody
Becky
face
nose.
Becky Lynch. Yeah.
What did I say? Becky Lynch. But their kid Ro, she will probably be main eventing WrestleMania in 25 years. So look forward to that. I'm calling it now. Seth and Becky's kid main eventing WrestleMania, taking on Daniel Bryan's kids, or Miz and Morris, or Miz and Maurice.
Not the Kanellis kid though.
No.
Oh
no.
Yeah.
It'd be Ring of Honor.
Bunch of crybabies.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's wrap things up. Richard, where can all the Kliqsters find you online?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Pro Wrestling 101. It's that really cool photo of Ric Flair, so click it and like it. And as far as Twitter and Facebook is concerned, I have some breaking news.
Ooh, please share.
I don't give a shit if you follow me there, because I'm not going to follow you back, and I don't want you to follow me.
Yes.
God damn you.
Swerve, bro.
Ultimate Swerve.
Tommy, where can the Kliqsters find you?
You can always find me on Twitter.
Tell the clickbaiters where they can find you, Tommy.
All right. The clickbaiters out there, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
This is why we need video. I know, so they can see you, Danny, just struggling.
Just rubbing my eyes, take my
glasses. You just start sweating a lot, and you're rubbing your eyes.
Oh, man. So, follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. And like I said, top of the show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, subscribe to In The Kliq there. Also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, intthekliq@gmail.com. You know the routine. Follow us at all those platforms. Hopefully got some other cool things coming up this week for you guys. You can represent us via some merch, so we're working on that. So hopefully I'll have something this week for you guys, so make sure to follow us on social media for that announcement.
And that's an order.
Yes. Let's go home, and that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.